All right, it is time to carve, and we have our linoleum cutters. So this is how you're going to be able to find your number. Everybody in the class will have an assigned number. You will use that same one every day, and you will be responsible for your blades. So make sure that you always get your correct number, and also make sure you're never losing any of your blades. So let's say that I am looking for my name, like Ellis is number 15. So I'm gonna go over here, look for number 15. Oh no, number 15 is missing. It's because I have it right here. But the 15, this is mine, and the 15 is above, okay? And this is mine. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that. Now, it is time to put our blades into the piece. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and unscrew it. Now, when I pour them out into my hands, I should have 2 blades, and that's all. That's all you're gonna need. So let me talk about that super quickly. First, I have a number 2 blade. This is my favorite one. It's great for everything. It's really good for big spaces. It's good for tiny spaces. It just depends on how much pressure you apply to this blade. So I use this for almost everything. You may not even need your other blade, but I wanted to give you some options. You have another one. This is a number 1, and you're gonna notice the one is super, super small. So this would be for really tiny, hard to reach places. I honestly never use this one because it's also not very sharp. So yeah, if you want to use it, you can. All right, I'm going to choose the number 2, and I'm going to put my number 1 back inside. Please always keep your blades inside, because that way they won't get lost and you won't have to owe me money. So let's look inside at the pieces. So first, we have the outer edge of our cutter right here. You never need to put anything in the outer edge. It's just going to get jammed and it's going to get broken. Where you want to put your blade is, do you see this like circular part right here? You want to put your blade in between the circular part in this crescent moon shape. So like right in here, but this space is too small right now. So we need to loosen it, okay? So I'm going to loosen it enough so that it doesn't fall apart. And I want to be able to see that space. You can see it around the circle is getting bigger. So let's try and see if it will go in. Now, you're not going to put the V, you're not going to stick that down in there. That's for carving. You're going to stick this like curved kind of circular part in here, okay? So let's see if it will fit. Oh, yeah, it fit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, it's going around the ball and the crescent. It's not going on the outside, even though that space, you can see it. So when you put that inside, you should see it kind of sit really nicely. If it's sitting like this, then you know you need to loosen this a little bit more. It's not going to go in. All right. So I'm not ready to start carving it. I still need to do something else. I need to tighten it. Okay. And if I don't tighten it well enough, then when I'm carving, this is just going to fall out. So I try to tighten it pretty good, not like so tight that I can't undo it again, but definitely tight enough that if I, test it like this, it's not going to come off. So you should be good now. All right, let's talk about what happens if all these pieces fall apart, because that does happen sometimes, but it's kind of bad because if you lose your pieces, then you're kind of done. So let's say I loosened it like a lot and I just kept going. You don't want to do this, by the way, like ever, but let's say this did happen, okay? And let's say when I was doing it, all these pieces fell out. So let me show you how to fix it if that does happen. Now, you should have 1, 2, 3 pieces. All right, if you don't have 3, then it's somewhere under the table. So let's look at these first. Okay. So you have that crescent and you have this one. You need to be able to see the circle. Okay. So I have my circle, I have my crescent, and I just put them together like that. Okay. Now, or wait, when I look at it, they don't really match up. So maybe my crescent is upside down. There you go. And now they match up, and that's working. So then I like to take this blue part and I just hold it like this with my other fingers. And then I take this, put it back on, and there you go. And you're good. And that's all. You're ready to start carving. All right, today I'm going to show you how to use these carving tools and the best tips for carving so that your piece will look really nice and it won't have any mistakes. And it's also to keep you safe because even though these aren't super sharp, if you use a lot of force, they can still hurt you if you're not careful. So I'm going to talk about those safety rules as well. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how you should hold your tool. And some people do it in a couple different ways. For me, the way that works the best is if I hold my hand out like this with my palm facing out and I put the tool inside the palm of my hand. I wrap my hand around the tool, so I'm kind of holding it like this, but I'm going to take my pointer finger and I'm going to place it on the metal part right here. I don't want to place it right here because that could kind of be sharp, or it might kind of hurt me after a while. But your finger right here is going to give it control and you will be able to carve around, and this finger will guide the carving tool. So I put my hand right here, wrap it around, and then I place my pointer finger right here. This works best for me and I feel like I have the most control when I carve. So let's say I have a piece that I want to carve right here and I'm ready to carve it. I'll see a lot of people carving like this, and they're about to poke their own fingers or their own hand, and it can be really painful to cut yourself this way. So what I suggest that everybody does is that instead of carving towards your fingers, you always carve beside your finger or parallel to your finger. So it's never at an angle where if all of a sudden you had a lot of force and you went like this, you would not cut yourself. Okay, so always parallel to your finger and never towards yourself. So you will never be carving this way. That has no control, and if you accidentally have a lot of force and you go like this, then you would cut your thumb. So you never want to be going this way, you never want to be going this way. The best way to do this, since these pieces are flat, it can be kind of difficult to do this, but usually what I like to do is I'll just kind of pinch it like this, and I will carve this way. And I'll always try to make sure that my finger's not right there. You can also rotate different angles to get a better angle for cutting or to hold their piece. So I can always carve this way and just move my piece around. Okay, so now I'm going to start carving, and we have discussed this before. With these carvings, we are normally going to be carving out the gray area, and we're going to be avoiding the black lines because we want those to show up in our stamp. So when I get started, I'm going to carve the gray part. So that means that I'm going to start beside the black right here. I'm not on the black, I'm right beside it. And I'm going to press my tool in and I will carve. Notice how I'm carving really slowly. And I can actually pause and I can move my piece and then carve a little bit more. I can move my piece, carve a little bit more. And when I want to stop, I'm going to lift up, and then you can peel this with your finger. So I'm going to carve a little bit more. Okay. And I can like tap it right here to get some of that out. Now you have an outline going on. So that is another rule. You want to carve out the outline of your shape. You do not want to start just carving in all these random directions. You want to start with the outline of your drawing. So what I'm going to do is start carving beside my black line, stopping when I need to, and I'm going to carve out the entire outline of this shape before I do anything else. If you don't do it this way, it's very possible that you will be carving this way and accidentally cut out your most important parts. which are the black parts. You do not want to cut and make little marks inside this, or they will disappear when it's time to print. So what I like to do is once I've done an outline, I'll maybe even do a second layer of an outline. Basically, there's like another layer right here, and maybe I'll even do a third one, right? And this is kind of like protection against that black line. Now I can do a little bit of the inside. Again, I'm starting with the outline. So I'm very slowly going to the outline. Now there's a section right here that's really small, and I'm using a big tool. So you can either stop here and switch your tools, or you can instead lift up a little bit as you get closer and just keep lifting up, and your line will get skinnier and skinnier. So let me show you that. Right now I'm using number 2, a number 2 blade. So when I'm carving, if I want to press down really hard, that's how big the line will be. Now, what if I want a super skinny line? I really like doing that with the number 2. This is a V shape. So if I want a very skinny line, I only need to use this little part right here and barely press down on it. So I'm going to try that right here. I'm going to barely press down on the gray. And look, that's how skinny of a line I can get with the number 2. So it can be thick like this, or it can be like this, depending on the pressure that you are pressing down. Okay, so you have that control. You just need to use it. And that's why the pointer finger is pretty helpful. Okay, number 5 is the last tip. When you're carving, it is kind of difficult to see from this angle, but what I'm essentially doing when I'm carving, what I like to call it is like I'm carving like a diver, a swimmer, because the diver has to dive into the water. He has to swim, and then he has to lift up. So when I'm carving, when I need to go into the gray, I have to apply some pressure, and it has to kind of go in diagonally. So I'm carving like that first part, then I'm kind of moving it straight, carving wherever I need to. And then when I'm ready to stop, I stop right before I get to the black, and then I lift up. So I don't know if I can show you. I'll try to show you right here. So I'm carving, I've gone diagonal. Now I'm carving, and now I'm lifting up. Okay, so carving like a diver, that's what I like to say. All right, there is one more thing that I would like to talk about. This is not a tip, but just a suggestion or something to think about. When you have a stamp, you are leaving the parts that you want to be able to see in your design. So let's say I was using black ink. These leaves would all be black, right? But sometimes when you look at Google and you look at Linocut designs, you will notice that sometimes they will carve into the black on purpose to get some cool textures. So if that's something that you would like to try, you can talk to me about it. But normally there will be some sections that are totally black, and you are supposed to leave them black. So in an area like this that's a little tougher to get to and it's very small, what I might do is, instead of starting from here and carving into there, that might be kind of hard, I like to start in the corner and maybe at an angle, and I'll place this little V shape in the corner. So I'm gonna place it right here and kind of go this way. And now I feel like I'm safe. Instead of going towards it like this, I'm coming from the corner. And now I can do the other corner, and it should be okay. Yeah, there we go. So that kind of protected my black section right here. And now I can add some more lines going outward. And now I'm not worried about cutting little parts out of my star. It's a little bit more safer now. It has this kind of white boundary that's protecting it. Okay, those are my last tips. Please be safe and do not hurt yourself, whatever you do. Just be very slow, be very careful so that you don't cut yourself. All right, good luck.